Hi Dollar Divas, welcome to Behind the Vanity. I'm Jessica. So I like to make videos about affordable beauty, beauty on a budget, and if you do spend a lot of money, I like to try to make sure that you get the best value, the best product for the money that you do spend. So if that sounds good to you, you are in the right place. So today's video is actually another eyeshadow palette tag. There's been one going around and I did film one of those. I will have it linked down in the description box so you can check that out, because if you're here watching this one, you'll probably be interested in seeing that one too, because these are so fun. They're fun to make and fun to watch. But this is yet a new one that was just recently created, and it's called the Most Likely Eyeshadow Tag, or the Most Likely to Eyeshadow Palette Tag. So the last eyeshadow palette tag kind of covered questions like what's your oldest palette, newest palette, most expensive, all that stuff, you know, very concrete answers. This one is a little bit more hypothetical. It just kind of asks, all the questions start with, which eyeshadow palette is most likely to da 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 da. So you get the picture. So anyways, I'm really excited to do this one too. I find it to be a little bit harder. I had to think a little bit harder. So anyways, if you want to see another eyeshadow palette tag, definitely keep on watching. So again, like I said, this is the Most Likely Eyeshadow Palette Tag, and this was created, I have it written down here so I don't mess it up, I don't want to mess it up. It was created by Christina Brook, and it was a collab between Christina Brook and Alejandra Lisette, Bad to the Brow, Charlotte Holdcroft, and Tara Lynn. And I saw it through a lady in a channel named Katie Marie. So I will have all of their channels linked below so you can check out all of their videos, all of their channels, and show them some love. Before we get started, if you enjoy my content or you are new here, and of course I love to call my subscribers Dollar Divas, so if you are a Dollar Diva, definitely make sure you subscribe. Also hit that bell notification, because that's gonna let you know when videos like this go up. That way you can be a Dollar Diva with me, because who doesn't love to like save money and look great, and when you do spend money, get the best thing you can. So anyways, let's just hop into today's video. So the first question is, what eyeshadow palette is most likely to look amazing after a long day? And again, these are kind of hypothetical, at least for me, a lot of these. It's been a long time since I've worn eyeshadow for any length of time. And so I can only go back to like something I've worn at work, but this collab palette, and this is in Sunset Dreams. The last time I wore makeup for like the longest period of time, I actually filmed a video and then I had to go to work, but I also wanted to work out in between, and I never, you guys, I don't wear makeup to go somewhere nice half the time. So like to wear makeup when I went to go work out because I had to go do a show afterwards is like unheard of, but it just looked so good. And I have raved about this palette before in videos. First of all, I just think the color story is amazing. You can get a neutral look, you can get a fun look. None of the colors are like obtrusive or anything like that. Obtrusive. I don't know if I'm using the right word, but I just love this little palette, and the quality is amazing. For what you get, like the amount of shadows you get, it's kind of expensive. This is a $15 palette, I believe, but it really is lovely. Like I said, the color story I just couldn't turn away from. But yes, I filmed a video, ran, sweated, then did a show, and my makeup didn't feel terrible at the end of the day. So yes, this is the most likely to look amazing after a long day. So the palette that I am most likely to use for Halloween, this category is gonna go to the NYX Ultimate Edit in Brights. You've got your yellow, you've got your orange, you've got your green, you've got your purple. Then you pair that with a black matte eyeshadow and maybe some sparkle. I paired it with like a black lip with some glitter, and it was very fun. But yes, this is definitely the palette I don't feel bad to use for Halloween. I think I paid like $5 for it at the most at CVS, like especially with coupons and stuff. But it's got all the colors, they're all matte, and I don't feel bad to like dig into it. Like even if I just like used it for one night, I think that's just a great thing. Like you said, you don't always want to use like your really, really nice palettes. So yes, this and like an eyeshadow single or two will definitely be like my go-to for Halloween. So most likely to land me the job. I have one palette, two answers for this. So the palette that I picked is the BH Cosmetics, it's my Rayray palette. And I actually kind of lucked out and found this for $5.99 at my TJ Maxx back in March. and it's like a $17 palette on Ulta's website. And I did not know that when I bought it. I just bought it because it has all of these. At the time I was needing some bright colors, and it also has those neutrals. And I like that it has the matte brights as well as the shimmery brights. And so I just thought that was a really cool palette, and then I realized it was a little bit more expensive than what I paid for it. I am a performer. I do work in show business for a living, but I've also had other jobs, you know, restaurant jobs, retail jobs. So I picked this palette because I feel like no matter what job I went for, if I was auditioning for something or if I was going to apply for a job, I could either get a very neutral look with the colors here on the top, if that is what I needed to go for, or I could go for something a little bit crazier, a little bit more show-stopping, kind of with some of the brights, or combine them somehow. So I feel like this is kind of a really, it doesn't look as versatile as I feel that it is. So yes, this would be the palette that I would go to if I wanted to land a job of some kind. So what palette am I most likely to ring in the new year wearing? This is kind of a weird answer. I feel like this palette is not gonna look like something I will ring in the new year with, but fun fact, it is what I'm wearing today because it is in my makeup basket right now. So like I said, it's kind of a weird choice, but I picked the Makeup Revolution Chilled palette. And to look at it, it doesn't really look New Year's Eve-esque. You know, you have all those greens and everything, but hear me out. First of all, I think the look that I'm wearing could be New Year's Eve. I think I did a very similar look for New Year's Eve tutorial last year, kind of a silver winged red lip kind of a thing, using all different products, but I did a similar look just because, you know, you think silver and gold and a little dramatic, and I always think of like a red lip, so that's just like my idea of New Year's. But with this palette, if you ignore the green, you have got like this color here, which is like a champagne, and then like a deeper gold shimmer, and then you've got this silver glitter here, and that's actually what I'm wearing currently. Then you've got like this gold, and you've got this color here, so you can kind of do a smoky eye with some of these neutral colors. So I feel out of the 18 colors in here, there's really like 10 that are very neutral. They're silver, gold, or brown. And so out of everything that I have, this is kind of the palette that I think if New Year's Eve were today, I would go for this palette, and I would probably be wearing the same exact look I'm wearing right now. So the Chilled palette for New Year's. So most likely to get decluttered this year. And I'm gonna use the word decluttered, thrown away, more like it. Declutter I kind of think of as like passing it on, and these aren't in any position to be passed on. So the first one was actually passed on to me by a friend of mine, and it's the Smashbox Mini Box Palette. And it's got eyeshadows on the bottom, and this is, y'all, I'm embarrassed, seriously. Okay, so it's got eyeshadows all on the bottom, and on the top it has a blush in the middle, and it had a highlighter and a bronzer, both of which I used. I had been working on the blush. This was actually in a project pan I was doing kind of last year. And I've used a couple of the eyeshadows, and this eyeshadow here is actually really, really pretty, and probably the only color that I've really liked. So I just don't get any use from it, and the eyeshadows as a whole, I don't find really bring me joy, so that's very likely to not make it much longer. And so then the other one was actually also in a project pan, and it was also my most used palette in my last eyeshadow palette tag, and it is the Sephora Smoky Eye palette. And like I said in that video, it came with a couple brushes that I still have somewhere, but I've panned about half of what's in here, and then these, most of them have hit pan. So I liked, this all had like silvers and grays and black and stuff like that, and those were very easy for me to use, but these all kind of like look the same when they're like on your eye. They all kind of look black. You can kind of see on my hand, there's really not a whole lot of variation between some of these colors. So as you can see, they're very uninspiring and just kind of the same. I don't know that I will throw this away. I may try to finish using it. I'll probably be more likely to finish this before I finish that though. So, but yeah, these are most likely to be gone from my collection this year. So the palette that is most likely to get me the guy. Well, I am married, and it has been a long time since I've had to think about this. But I would say if I needed to, if I had to channel that part of my brain again, I would say if I had to go on a date, or if I was going out for Valentine's Day, I would pick this Believe Beauty palette. This is in Love Struck, and of course the name, you know, I didn't pick it because of the name. But if you look at it, and I actually just featured this in a full face of Believe Beauty. This brand is amazing, you guys. But it's just so pretty. You've got those shimmers up there, and then you've got like your brown, and then you've got like your pinks and corals. It is just a lovely, lovely, lovely palette. And so you can get a really soft, pretty, slightly dramatic look in a soft way. So I think this palette is just lovely, and I just think it would just make you look rosy and a glow. And so I think this would be a great like date night palette for sure. So the palette most likely to be my favorite this year actually goes to two palettes. One of them is a repeat, one of them is not. And I only do that because they're the same brand. The Chilled palette and the Birds of Paradise palette. I bought these at the same time. They've been, this has been in a makeup basket as well. But I am loving the quality of these so far. I've used most of the colors in both of them, and they have just got so many different textures and finishes and colors. I am just, you can totally see my selfie stick. I've used most of the shadows, and I really do like the quality. There's only like one shadow in here I really don't like. I'm loving the colors of this one, and I'm loving the versatility, surprisingly, of this one. I'm loving these. I'm loving these. And really, I highly recommend these for people that don't want to spend $50 on an eyeshadow palette, or even $35 or $42 on a palette, but you get something that kind of feels special, and they're 15 bucks, and I think you can usually use the $3 or $3.50 off coupon at Ulta because they're not prestige brands, but they feel a little bit better than like your usual drugstore palette. So I am loving these two palettes. I didn't expect to love them as much as I do. Yeah, I think these might be my favorite of the year for sure. Okay, the palette, this is gonna be one of those questions that when I go to watch everybody else's videos, this is gonna be the one that everyone's most nervous to say. I think in the last video tag, it was like most overhyped. Everyone was afraid to share their opinion because they didn't want to get like, But so yes, the palette that I think could get me in the most trouble, although I'm not suspecting I'm going to get in any trouble, is the original Naked palette. Now you guys, you can tell that this is old. I mean, it isn't even dark anymore. I've had this. This isn't like from a couple years ago, like right before they discontinued it. This is like one of like the ones from like back in the day. So this is just so old, and a lot of people say that have this palette don't want to declutter it because, you get sentimental about these palettes, you get really sentimental. Now granted, I don't care for it. It's not my favorite Naked palette. It's not my favorite palette. I respect it for what it's done in the industry. I haven't really ever really cared for the quality. I just think their quality, Urban Decay's quality has gotten better, like with the Honey palette and all that kind of thing. So I'm probably not gonna reach for it, but if I did, I think there's a lot of people that would worry about my eyes with it being expired and all that stuff, and I don't worry about that quite as much. I will stretch a palette past the recommended time, as I'm sure a lot of us do. But yeah, I do feel at this point, I just can't pull this out and use it. So, and if I did, I feel like it would get me the most in trouble, so to speak. So the palette most likely to be in a regrets video. I would have to say Naked Reloaded is one that I try it again and again and again. I can't love it as much as I want to. I so bad want to. But you guys are familiar with this palette, I'm sure. I've featured it on here many times. And it's really pretty, and it's been compared to the Anastasia Beverly Hills Sultry palette. And I kind of wish I bought that instead because people love that palette. And it's got a very similar color story. I'll actually pop a picture of it up here and so you can see just how similar the color story is. So this is in my regrets video, not only because I could have probably passed on buying it. I don't love it as much as I would have hoped or would have thought that I would love it. I regret not buying the Anastasia Beverly Hills Sultry palette, which I think has been discontinued. Now, I know you can buy a dupe out there. At this point, I'm just willing to let the whole color story go because I feel like if I can't get the Anastasia one, why bother? But yeah, so I do regret that I didn't get the Anastasia Sultry, and I got this. So yeah, this is definitely probably my biggest regret. So the palette that I'm most likely to hit pan on. This is a tough one, only because I have so many palettes now and I just don't know if I'm gonna hit pan on any of them, as we all do. But I would say the one that I do tend to reach for, especially if I'm in a rush, I wanna get my makeup done, I wanna look good, especially for like everyday life, but I can also use it for the stage. I've used it for Halloween, is the Urban Decay Naked Honey. I love this palette, as you guys know, and although I haven't really come close to hitting pan on anything, I mean, you can see it's well loved already, and I've only had it since my birthday in September. I could probably hit pan on Flyby and maybe one of the gold colors. I love me that gold color right there. So I could see myself hitting pan on a couple of these shades, because this is like my everyday palette. Like if I want something for every day, this is kind of what I do tend to go for. So yeah, I think out of all my palettes, this will be the most likely to hit pan on as far as palettes that I haven't hit pan on as of yet. So the palette that I think could get me the most compliments this year, again, very hypothetical. I'm gonna give it to a palette that I have not yet used. I haven't even swatched it, haven't tested it, haven't done anything yet. So I'm gonna give this category to the Mirage palette. I just feel I'm gonna create a lot of really fun looks with this, especially like, I can't wait to use some of these pinks and corals, and like this is like a duochrome kind of a color. So I just feel that this has a lot of potential as far as what I would like to do with it. That might get me a lot of compliments. Like I said, it's not offensive. There's not too many bright colors that's offensive, but it's also very rich and warm. So I'm gonna give it to the Profusion Mirage palette. The palette that I'm most likely to repurchase. Okay, I'm gonna keep this one short and sweet because it is a repeat, because obviously it's gonna be like a favorite of mine or one that I get most compliments on or that kind of thing. And although like the Naked Honey is kind of like my go-to, I'm not gonna go with that one because there is kind of a sameness to it, you know? If these palettes got lost, I am having just a ball using them. I just have had so much fun with these two palettes. It's gonna go again to the Makeup Revolution Birds of Paradise and Chilled palettes. I'm having a ball with these, and I feel they are like my entire collection wrapped up in two palettes. Affordable, bright, neutral, glitter, everything. So yes, these two palettes. The palette that I'm most likely to splurge on. Okay, so this of course isn't gonna be a palette that I have with me. Okay, so fun fact about me, I've got some high-end palettes, you know, some Too Faced and Urban Decay and that kind of thing, amongst my affordable palettes. But I don't own any Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes. Not one. My chance was to buy the Sultry and I blew it. And then I came across the Riviera one time at TJ Maxx. And I didn't pick it up. But yeah, for a splurge this year, I think I'm in the market for an Anastasia Beverly Hills palette because I don't own one, and I've had a couple opportunities to buy one and just completely blew it. And so yeah, I think this year I'm gonna really be looking out for what they have to offer, either something new that hasn't come out yet or going back and finding something that is out right now. My eyes are on Anastasia Beverly Hills, so that's where I would like to splurge this year, for sure. And then last but not least is the palette that's most likely to look terrible after a long day. Again, this has to be hypothetical. I just don't know. I have not worn makeup that long in a while, and as far as what I have, I don't remember. It's just been too long. So I'm just gonna give this to this little LA Girl palette that I have, only because I know out of everything I have, this is probably the cheapest looking palette that I have. It literally, I mean, it's pretty, it served a purpose when I bought it. I needed some blues and I didn't want to spend a lot of money for it. So I'm gonna give this to the LA Girl 10 color eyeshadow palette. This is in Vivacious, but I mean, it looks like a little girl palette. So, and I've made some looks with this. I did throw this in a makeup basket a couple months back, but I can't imagine wearing any of these colors for a long period of time would end well. So like I said, it's fun to play in, maybe a little accent here or there, but I can't imagine that this would go very far. Like my LA Colors eyeshadows, a lot of them are really, really good quality, but this LA Girl palette, I just don't think it would go very far. You know, it just doesn't seem as good a quality as some of my other less expensive eyeshadows. So yes, I have the least amount of hope that this would look good after a long day. So I hope you enjoyed this eyeshadow palette tag. Again, I've communicated with so many people recently with the other eyeshadow palette tag that they're so fun to make, but they're even more fun to watch in so many ways. So I'm excited to see all of yours. If you made one, drop me a comment down below in the description box so I can do my best to get over and check yours out as well, because I do enjoy watching them. And so I will be watching now that I've made mine. I'm gonna be watching. So this was so much fun. Don't forget to go down to the description box and check out the videos that I mentioned, especially my other eyeshadow palette tag video. And if you liked this video, give it a big thumbs up by hitting that like button. It sure does help me out so much. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.